talk about a lot of stuff that you experienced with, sports athletes in New York for the years that you've been doing it. Has there ever been like problems with you and other broadcasters? Like, maybe you and Warner Wolf had a little beef going on, or you, you and George Michael, or stuff going on like that?
I lost 2 jobs to Warner Wolf within 14 months at Channel 7 and Channel 2 because he was a better actor than me. He was more dynamic. We still are friends to this day. Our daughters were in the same class. He's a very, very good friend of mine. I never ever thought that way. I just don't think that way. Not here, not in New York.
I mentioned before we went to break, you spent time with Mantle. You knew Mantle. And you've got some really interesting stories in the book about Mickey. One of them is almost not suitable for family television, Sal, but I'll let you soft shoe it and tell it as only you can.
This will be interesting.
You have to understand, the late 60s, the 2 main characters in this town, added by a third one, I'll tell you who that was. The 2 guys were Mantle and Namath. Namath owned this town. He was the quarterback of the Jets. He was the first athlete to go beyond the sports line into entertainment. When Paul Hornung was dating prom queens, Joe Namath was taking Raquel Welch to a movie premiere. I mean, he really had the beauties. Yeah. And Joe had his own bar. He's swashbuckling, the white shoes. He was an absolute idol. Meanwhile, Mickey Mantle was coming to the end of his career at Yankee Stadium, and his lifestyle was kept pretty much under the carpet by the sporting press, which is a point that I really press in this book, in that things have changed since then. Everybody was protected by then. The media, there was no gossip, scandal media yet. Ball players used to go to a place called Mr. Laughs, which was the absolute center of the universe for every professional athlete in this town and any team that visited this town. You could go in there and see anybody at any given time.
Over on the east side?
On the east side. It was owned by Phil Linz, who played for the Knicks. The reason why was what I call the Section Stu Zoo. There was a major cultural change in this town in the 60s. Women got their rights. The pill liberated them from pregnancy. They were more aggressive sexually. The times had changed because of the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and suddenly we were anti-war, and what happened was we had the singles phenomenon began on the east side of this town, was duplicated elsewhere all across the country. Against that backdrop, you had Namath had his own bar. Namath dated everybody in sight. Rod Gilbert of the Rangers lived above Mr. Laughs. All these athletes lived in a place called the Buxley above. It was a total frat house. They had a back door to Mr. Laughs. You picked up a stew, you went upstairs. If you came out of the place with someone other than your wife, the paparazzi weren't waiting for you. All of that was going on. The public did not know. Yep. Rod Gilbert, the Rangers' all-time scorer, had an inside nickname. It still is. It was called Mr. February. You know why?
I do not know why.
Because the football players were gone and the baseball players hadn't arrived, and he had all the girls to himself in February.
All right, so that was the preface to the Mantle story before we get to break of what Mantle's moment was.
Mantle, in the book, I replicate a letter sent by the Yankees PR guy in 1973 in December to every Yankee, past and present, to fill out the questionnaire, what was your greatest thrill at Yankee Stadium, now that they were going back to they had refurbished Yankee Stadium. Mickey wrote back to Bob Fisher, who was always the butt of jokes, the way Jay Horowitz now is with the Mets. He wrote back that his greatest thrill at Yankee Stadium was a sexual encounter with a fan in the Yankees bullpen during a game when he had a groin pull and wasn't playing. And he actually gets very descriptive about it, and he signs his name to it, the All-American Boy.
Let's get to break here on Daily News Live. I guess you put that in the G-rated version, Sal, which was...
You're the man, Sal.
Which was nice. More with Sal Marchiano. The book is in my rearview mirror. We are back from our Midtown studios in a moment. Welcome back inside our Midtown studios. Gary Apple along with you. Sal Marchiano is with us. He continues on. In my rearview mirror is the book. Back in the day, the games the athletes played on and off the field. Mr. C from Hot 97, Frank Isola from the Daily News, Scotty Farrell.
His stories are better in the break, even than live.
No, he's going to bring out some top-notch stories here, beginning with the '69 Mets. What went Tug McGraw down in the bullpen? Take us through that, Sal.
Well, you know, you want to burn up this network?
It was too good a story just to leave in the cutting room floor here. Give us the G-rated.
You know, what I did was, it isn't just all anecdotal. I did profiles of major figures. I did in-the-moment descriptions of, for instance, the Willis Reed game.
Oh, time out. Are you skirting the issue here, Sal?
I'll get to it. I'm
Okay,
coming
thank you
around. Coming around the mountain.
Yes.
Here. And I did a profile on Tug McGraw, who was a personal friend of mine. We double dated him and his first wife, Phyllis. We were very close, and I managed to interview him only a year before he died. And while discussing what changed his career, which is part of the main part of his chapters, what at bat was against Hank Aaron changed his entire career. He shook off Jerry Grody. He went his own way. This is the Atlanta division, the first divisional series. He struck out Hank Aaron at the big moment of the game. And from that moment on, he had the confidence to be a great relief pitcher. Anyway, in the book, he said, I want you to print something. I said, what's that? He said, we had sex in the Mets bullpen with women during the first innings of games. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said there was a toilet that was supposed to be a public toilet when they built Shea Stadium.
I might have to take this in another direction.
Sal's opening up a whole can of worms for me. I've got new freedoms here now. I'm starting. Who needs a lawyer when I got Sal around, right?
Well, they had a special door. They let the girls in. Can you imagine Mets relief pitchers having sex during the first inning of games?
We could have used it last night in about the ninth inning.
You can read all about it in my rearview mirror.
Amazon.com.